It's a very easy aircraft to fly, but it's a very difficult aircraft to fly well. And it was for this reason that it taught the pilots how to be very precise in their controlling of the aircraft, and equally showed up any faults that the pilots might have in their airmanship at a very early stage in their flying training. Typically, the flying training for a Battle of Britain pilot would have been 1 year, about 50 weeks, of which the first 8 to 12 weeks would have been on Taiwan. Now, the aircraft itself was built to a RAF specification, and it was built first in 1931, with the last built in 1945. And amazingly, of the 8,600 that they built, no fewer, they're such light wing ratings. And there's the people staying out there. And they'll be holding off to the east until the Tugline display is finished. Now I was going to tell you a bit more about that Vic for being just that.
The then US Army Air Corps, later the Army Air Forces, ordered the P-40 in April 1939. At the same time, they ordered small batches of the new Lockheed P-38 Lightning and the Bell P-39 Era Cobra for test purposes, but they decided to order the P-40 in strength, in part due to its commonality with the earlier P-36. The speed of that first XP-40 prototype was rather disappointing. They managed to improve it, making the engine cowling and the radiator more aerodynamically efficient, though the early P-40s were never the best performers, it must be said, and the type was not really what you'd choose as a high-altitude fighter, but by the standards of the start of the war, it was long-ranged, it was agile at low level, good handling qualities, stable gun platform, and a very durable design. And that latter attribute would stand the aircraft in very good stead when it came to some of the operational theatres in which P-40s really earned their spurs, the likes of the Eastern Front and the deserts. The American entry into World War II. On Hawaii, at the time the Japanese hit Pearl Harbor, managed to survive those deadly strikes. Combat aircraft those were, to see service with the Soviets in World War II. There's the Tomahawk 2B, the P-40C saw service with the RAF in the Middle East and North Africa, both as a fighter and as a ground attack aircraft. It was a very effective multi-role machine, we now say of such a machine. 1940 that, for the Allies, achieved true air superiority in the CBI, the China-Burma-India theatre. But perhaps its greatest combat successes were in the Mediterranean, in North Africa, and in the Middle East, flown by American, British, Australian, and South African pilots. No fewer than 46 British and Commonwealth pilots made ace in the P-40. Really through the efforts of the fighter collection and its founder and boss Stephen Gray that the Curtiss fighters have achieved a bit of greater exposure on the UK and European display circuit. They've had a lot come through their hands. They've got 4 on strength now. The Hawk 75 that's parked out on the flight line, this P-40C. They've got a P-36, equivalent to the Hawk 75, and the Merlin engine P-40F as well. To them, the P-40M and the P-40B that the collection used to operate, which have now gone on to other owners, it really has done a great deal to raise the profile of the Curtiss Hawk family, and quite rightly so. These were outstanding aircraft, even if they to some degree lacked the cachet of some of the more famous fighters, as it were, of the Second World War. P-40C has an interesting history. It dates from 1941. It went to the Army Air Corps, US Army Air Corps, that April, and served at Patterson Field in Ohio. Then it went to a unit that was based in Puerto Rico, where the aircraft flew on coastal patrols and anti-submarine patrols. Went back to the Curtiss plant in Buffalo, New York for an overhaul before it was supplied under the and this rather unwarlike, highly polished natural metal silver scheme, which must be a nightmare to keep clean, but the fighter collection engineers do a tremendous job of that, as well as everything else, is in fact that of a station hack aircraft that was based at Chanute Field in Kansas, used by senior officers in the early stages of World War II. Final pass then by the fighter collection's Curtiss P-40C. beautifully flown display by an absolutely beautiful aircraft, arguably one of the prettiest units were stationed at Duxford. It is one of the many types that came through here in wartime for evaluation by the RAF's Air Fighting Development Unit, which undertook particularly tactical development involving new frontline types coming into service. That one of the many and varied units that was stationed at RAF Duxford during wartime. The AFDU was here from December 1940 to March 1943, and its naval equivalent was here for much of that time as well, the Naval Air Fighting Development Unit 787 Squadron of the Fleet Air Arm, which was the only Fleet Air Arm unit ever stationed at this airfield. Pete Kinsey, the chief pilot of the fighter collection, was at the controls of the P-40C, putting on one of his typically beautiful displays, as befits someone of great experience in warbirds and also a former British aerobatic champion.